So let's dive into this explainer and tackle one of the absolute biggest what ifs in Earth's entire history. We're going to explore a scenario that completely rewrites the story of life on our planet. Now, we all know the standard history, right? The dinosaurs disappeared, and mammals, including us humans, eventually took their place. But what if the defining moment of that entire history never happened? What if the dinosaurs just never went extinct? Would we even be here to ask the question? Or would Earth still belong to giant reptiles? Stick with me, because by the end of this explainer, the final answer might just completely change how you view human history. To really understand this alternate reality, we first need to rewind exactly 66 million years. Picture it, a massive asteroid, we're talking nearly 10 kilometers wide, is hurtling right toward Earth. In our timeline, it's slammed directly into our planet. But for this explainer, I want you to hold that image in your mind and just imagine that massive rock completely missing us. But before we explore that crazy miss scenario, we do need to quickly remind ourselves of what actually happened when it hit. The impact set off a rapid, totally apocalyptic chain reaction. Within mere days, the world was completely transformed. The impact released energy far greater than billions of nuclear bombs. Billions. We're talking about massive wildfires just sweeping rapidly across entire continents. A thick layer of dust was kicked up into the atmosphere, literally blocking out the sun. And without that sunlight, global temperatures plummeted, plants died off en masse, and the entire food chain completely collapsed from the bottom up. The sheer scale of the devastation is honestly just staggering. Roughly 75% of all species on Earth simply vanished in an event science calls the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction. The dinosaurs, these magnificent creatures that had ruled for millions of years, were essentially wiped out. It left only a tiny 25% sliver of life, mostly small mammals and avian dinosaurs, to somehow survive and pick up the pieces. But what if it never happened? Let's take a total left turn here. Just imagine an alternate timeline where that 10-kilometer-wide asteroid simply sails harmlessly past Earth into the dark void of space. No impact, no firestorms, no massive dust clouds, no mass extinction at all. What on earth would our world look like? The day after? A million years after? Or even today? Section 1. Dinosaurs still rule Earth. See, the dinosaurs had a massive head start. Without that apocalyptic reset button getting smashed, the age of giant reptiles wouldn't have ever ended. In our reality, the asteroid hits, the dinosaurs die, and mammals eventually rise up to take over the planet. But in our alternate history where the asteroid misses, massive predators like the T-Rex are still the undisputed kings hunting across dense forests. You'd have huge herbivores like Triceratops or giant sauropods just roaming the vast, evolving landscapes. There is absolutely no biological vacuum for mammals to step into. And, it doesn't just stop with the dinosaurs we see as fossils in a museum. The age of dinosaurs could have continued for millions of more years. Think about what that actually means for evolution. Without the extinction event, smaller dinosaurs, like velociraptors and their relatives, would have had millions of years of uninterrupted time to evolve into even smarter, highly adaptable species. They were already incredibly successful, right? So they would have only continued to refine how they survive. Section 2. Would humans even exist? This is kind of a wild question to think about, but if dinosaurs are still completely dominating the planet, where do we fit into the picture? Well, before the asteroid hit, our ancestors were tiny, nocturnal creatures basically cowering in the shadows. They scurried around in the dark just to avoid becoming a dinosaur's midnight snack. It was only after the extinction, when the big reptiles were removed from the equation, that mammals finally had the incredible opportunity to step into the daylight and actually evolve into much larger animals. Which leads us to a pretty sobering realization. Eventually, in our timeline, those mammals evolved into primates, and then into humans. But without the extinction of the dinosaurs clearing the board, our ancestors might never have had that chance at all. The evolutionary runway that takes the tiny, shadow-dwelling creature and turns it into a modern human probably never opens up. We exist precisely because the dinosaurs don't. Section 3. Evolution of intelligent dinosaurs. So if we aren't around to build civilizations, could the dinosaurs have become as smart as us over those extra 66 million years? I want to share a fascinating quote from our source material with you. It says, "There is no evidence that any dinosaur was on a path to developing human-like intelligence. Still, evolution often produces surprising outcomes over long periods." That really grounds this whole explainer. While the idea of a dinosaur, inventing a wheel or using a smartphone is definitely pure speculation, we have to respect that millions of years of uninterrupted evolution can do some astonishing things. They undoubtedly would be highly complex, socially advanced animals. Section 4. A wild prehistoric planet. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. What would the actual surface of the Earth look like today in this alternate reality? Well, this alternate ecosystem would be something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but totally natural. The forest would be absolutely packed with giant reptiles. And because mammals never got their big break, a lot of the animals we know today, bears, elephants, lions, poof, they might never exist at all. The entire balance of the ecosystem would be completely shifted. And get this, some birds, which we know evolved from dinosaurs, would still exist today, but they'd be sharing the skies with flying pterosaurs and the forests with their giant ground-dwelling dinosaur cousins. It would feel entirely prehistoric. So instead of the modern civilization we know today, with sprawling cities and towering skyscrapers, Earth would just remain a wild planet completely dominated by nature. All of our modern cities would fade away into an untouched, beautifully savage prehistoric wilderness. To truly wrap your head around the gravity of this, just think about the things that are completely erased from history. Without humans, there are no cities, no airplanes crossing the skies, no internet connecting the globe, no smartphones in our pockets, no satellites orbiting the planet. Modern civilization as we know it simply does not exist. All of this human progress relies 100% on that asteroid hitting its exact target 66 million years ago. But hey, let's play devil's advocate and pose one last hypothetical question. If humans somehow beat the incredible odds and we evolved anyway in some isolated pocket of the world, could we survive alongside dinosaurs? Could we actually coexist? Honestly, it would be one of the greatest challenges imaginable. Life would be terrifyingly dangerous. Even if modern technology might eventually help humans survive, just getting to that point while living amongst bus-sized predators would make basic travel, hunting, and settlement virtually impossible. We absolutely wouldn't be the apex predators, we would be the appetizer. Tracing this grand butterfly effect really brings it all into perspective, doesn't it? 66 million years ago, a single asteroid impact changes the entire trajectory of life. By 60 million years ago, mammal evolution dramatically accelerates because those giant predators are finally gone. And that brings us to the present day, where human civilization exists. Every city, every invention, every civilization traces its roots directly back to that one massive celestial event. Which leaves us with this final, profound thought to wrap up our explainer. Sometimes the absolute smallest change in the past creates the biggest possible difference in the future. A tiny shift in the trajectory of a rock floating in space millions of years ago is literally the only reason you and I are here today. Which definitely begs the question, if our entire existence relies on a random cosmic accident, what other invisible near misses are out there quietly shaping the future of our species right this very second?